The Deal News Podcast, episode 249 for March 13th. Airfare, more like air unfair. I'm joined by Lewis and Dan. Hey, fellas.
How you doing, Jeff?
How's everything?
Good. I'm well.
Great.
Well, I want to apologize to you guys as well as the listeners and viewers to say that I'm sorry about last week, our no-show in the podcast feed. Maybe you were refreshing all day, hoping for a new episode to come in. It's totally my fault. I got immensely sick the first couple days of this week. I'm still slowly recovering from it. I won't go into the gory details, but just enough to say that there are gory details.
Zombie virus. That's all I'm saying.
I ripped someone's head open and ate their brains. I'm sorry. So yeah, now we're back. I don't know. What do we do? It's been like 2 weeks. I've forgotten everything that we do. Let's see. Let's start with a follow-up. This one you found, Lewis. It is about the Google Glass. Hit us.
Yeah.
Oh,
So good news for everyone who wears prescription lenses or whatever. Google came out and they said that Google Glass will actually work with prescription lenses. So you'll be able to buy just the actual frame itself and then get it customed to your own prescription lenses.
Nice.
Yeah, so no need to put them on top of your glasses.
Right.
Yeah, somehow manage something. I don't know. Maybe you could wear them over your glasses, like the big dark glasses they give the old people after they have eye surgery.
Yeah.
Right.
The ones that cover.
I guess
you just
the only
have like a
tricky
big
part-
visor.
The only tricky part now is, so if you get obviously I don't have them on right now, but I wear prescription glasses. So if I were to get Google glasses and put my prescription on them, does that mean I'm going to have to keep them on all the time? Should I walk outside with them? Do you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Or am I going to carry a spare?
Oh, I see what you mean.
You get
So
what I'm saying?
yeah. So the question is when you're wearing glasses, you're going to need to wear glasses and Google glasses, or
Right.
have another pair of glasses.
Or just wear your Google glasses all the time?
Yeah.
You know, but then let's say you go into the movies and you're going to be wearing Google. I guess you could leave them on. I mean, it's not like it's going to make anything darker or anything like that, but
Right.
it's just something to take into consideration. But again, it's cool that it's working with prescription lenses.
Yeah. Good. So that was a question that I believe a reader of the podcast transcript that we put out, a listener had written in, and we finally have an answer for that. So they realize that it is a problem. They are working on it. They just don't know when it's going to happen. They do say it's not going to be for the first edition that comes out. So I guess when it's first available, they haven't even given a price yet. The $1,500 is for people who are just in that pilot program for it, right?
What do you think? That's a great question. What do you think the retail is going to be on those?
I don't know if they're giving away the trial units for $1,500.
You thinking like $19.99 or something, like just under $2?
$19?
Yeah, I wasn't saying $20.
I would hope it would come down from the 1,500.
Yeah.
Well, if it did, I'd be really ticked off if I was a beta tester.
Well, I mean, it's always like you always pay for you're going to be the early adopter. You're going to be, you're the first guy with a 3D TV. You're going to pay through the roof.
Yeah,
you're the first guy with an Ultrabook. You're going to pay full price.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I would hope for even the first number that popped into my mind is too high for me. I was thinking like $5.99.
Oh, I wouldn't pay that
for them.
Wow.
Now I wouldn't pay that.
That's
either.
but that's like iPad-ish price.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's going to have they say it's going to have a lot of functionality in it,
Right.
And maybe it'll also kind of be like a cell phone, and an unsubsidized cell phone price is about that.
Did you guys see what they mentioned that so South by Southwest is, I think it's finishing up, it's wrapping up, whatever, and so Google was there talking about Glass, of course, and they mentioned that one of the functions or features of Google Glass is that, let's say you're at an event or something like that, you'll be able to turn on some sort of like a signal within your glasses where if other people say is Jeff Somogyi or is Dan Leadbetter here, your glasses will broadcast exactly where you are within the vicinity in a map and show a picture of you. It's very cool, but also a little bit creepy in a way.
That's super creepy.
Right. But you first have to say I want to broadcast my location to other Google Glass people, and then they'll be able to it's almost like Latitude but with Google Glass.
Yeah. For Foursquare, but a little bit within the confines of a building itself,
Right.
It would be neat if it could,
Interesting.
like actually like pinpoint map you as well.
It
So
does.
it's like,
They were
oh
saying that
really?
it will pinpoint map you, and
Oh
if you
dear.
want, when you broadcast that you're there, you can even describe what you're wearing. You're like saying like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm wearing a silver coat, I'm wearing a blue sweater or whatever. So
Red
it's
shirt.
getting, yeah, very detailed. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, well,
Wow.
one of the things that I saw that they want to include in the visual recognition software is that it will learn how your friends dress and your friends' wardrobe. So it'll be able to pick them out of a crowd even if their back is turned, because it'll say
Right.
like there's a 90% possibility that this is your friend Lewis because
Right. Right. Right.
he's wearing those jeans and that shirt.
Okay, that's just about the creepiest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
is
it's gonna get
super
it wrong from time to time, though, right? I mean,
I would hope. I would
yeah,
hope.
yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or you only wear one shirt and jeans
Yeah.
all the time. Which, honestly, I don't. My wardrobe isn't that varied. So,
Is that Adam Levine or is that our good friend Jeff Somogyi? I can't
yeah,
tell.
yeah. Will it compile like a database of like your friends' tattoos and stuff as well? You
Hmm.
know, it would be neat if that's all done in the background. So the first time you meet someone, you just see like this laser light scan them
Scan.
yeah, head to toe.
Like the Terminator, it really
Yeah,
is
exactly.
kind of like that.
It'll pop up weaknesses.
Yeah.
Had knee surgery. Hit him there.
Go for the
Allergic
kidney
to
punch.
wheat or whatever.
His wallet looks larger than normal. Steel. The things we could do with Google Glass.
Great.
Hashtag if I had Google,
Yeah.
I'd super
There you go.
See, it's worth the $1,500 right there.
Yeah.
exactly.
You can make your money back in 2 days.
Two very lucrative on the run from the cops.
Yes.
Hopefully you don't get caught.
No.
Our next story is about Airfare. Lewis, you found this interesting story about how they want to track you as an airline customer.
Yeah. Right. So essentially, back in October of 2012 of last year, all the major airlines met and they kind of came to an agreement of a new pricing structure that they want to begin with starting end of this year, early next year. So essentially what they said is that, was like right now you could go online, look up, let's say you go to AmericanAirlines.com or you could go to Kayak or whatever search engine you want to look
Right.
up airfare. Well, they want to change that. They want to make it so that now you have to sign in before you could get any airfare quotes or whatnot. And they reasoned that by you signing in, first of all, you could sign in with like your username, your frequent flyer miles, whatever, your frequent flyer number actually, and then they could kind of like gauge what kind of, traveler you are and push certain deals to you. Like let's say if you're always flying from like New York to LA, they're like, oh, you know what? This guy always flies from New York to LA. He always flies business class. So maybe he can afford to pay a little bit more, so let's give him a higher airfare. Whereas
What? No.
let's say someone else were to like, they fly New York to LA maybe like once every 5 years, they're like, all right, this guy's on vacation, let's give him a slightly cheaper airfare, or if they know that you're the type of person that checks in with luggage a lot, maybe they'll give you some sort of discount on check-ins and stuff like that. But the point is that they want you to log in before you could get any sort of price quote whatsoever. So they'll know info about you before you see any pricing.
That's not right.
I mean, it could be good, but like the instances that you just mentioned, Lewis, there's a lot of room for it to go really bad.
And
you
here's
know?
the thing also, so they said that's the way they want to move to that pricing structure, but at the same time, they're still going to keep like, your Kayak, your Expedia, your whatnot, you're still going to be able to get airfares like that, a la carte, for lack of a better word.
Right.
But what they said is that, it was implied in the article, it was a New York Times article, that those prices might actually be higher because they want to move people away from that pricing structure and onto the new pricing structure where you're signing in to see airfare.
Right.
So,
So the carrot is kind of like, well, we'll guarantee you the lowest airfares asterisk if you sign in using our facility or
Right.
our service. What they could also then use that data to, I don't know, kind of squeeze more money out of you if they really wanted to.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
They said it could get as detailed as like, if you fly and you always want an aisle seat or if you always like the window seat. I mean, they will record every single thing about you, about the way you fly, maybe even the food that you order when you're flying, the drinks that you order when you're flying. And think
Right.
about it. Maybe they'll say like, oh, so, here's a flight to Miami for like whatever, and you got a free drink out of it or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah, a gin
So,
and tonic free.
yeah.
This flight only.
Or a
That's
free
your
dinner or
fare.
a free lunch or something. But
I
the
mean,
point
isn't
is
this
that,
just essentially like Googleizing airlines? If you think about it, that's how Google makes its money, right? It learns everything it can about you and your habits, and then it presents opportunities to you based on those habits and results to you based on the kind of things that you like, especially now they have like one unified terms of service. They're
right.
looking at everything you do to present to you better and get more money out of you.
And that's
And
exactly what the airfare, what the
yeah.
airliners want to do.
So now is this going to be something that's across all, or is this ones that they're implementing for each airline?
It
Do you know what I
sounds like
mean?
it's across all because
Hmm.
when they had the meeting back in October, it was the four major carriers, which I believe is American, Delta, United, blanking out on the last one. But I know the only one that opposed this was Southwest.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Well, they have
Wow.
a history of being for the consumer,
Right.
So
Right. But the thing is, like, if all the airliners are doing this, how long will Southwest be able to like say like,
yeah.
you know,
This is so creepy. I just think that this smacks of like, oh, you live in a affluent zip code,
Hmm.
so you get to pay
right.
25% more.
That's
Yeah.
another thing that I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Because I mean, what's to stop them from getting census data
Yeah.
and compiling it down by household incomes in a certain area
Sure.
or whatever? It just seems wow that
Yeah.
Well, you
I
got to
mean,
remember the airlines are hurting right now, so they
right.
need to find a way to make more money. And if
Right.
this is like you said, Dan, like if this gives them access to do little tricks like that, then
right.
hey, of course they're gonna push for it.
Yeah. Any way
Wow.
they can monetize.
Right.
Yeah, like there needs to be some safeguards on how they use this data and in what way that they're storing it and sharing it and whatever. I mean, I always hate. I also always hate feeling like I'm not going to be able to get the best deal
Right.
either. And if they do implement something like this, and I'm looking at flights without logging in or signing into this world global service thing, like, will I be thinking? Am I not seeing the best fare? Should I
Right.
Right.
log into this? But then when you log into it, it's like, well, what fare am I seeing now? Like,
Right.
what do they think of me? Like I make X amount a year. Does that
Yeah,
mean I'm
it's
seeing
like
the best fare?
it's like let's say the three of us plan a trip to Mexico or something like that, and we each purchase our own airfare. Let's say I log in, you don't log in, Dan logs in. We're each going to get a different price based on probably a zip code, based on how frequent we fly, based on it's just you're not. I think it's going to be difficult for people to compare prices now.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Wow.
weird. How do you
Uh,
guys buy airfare when you fly? What do you do? I very rarely use like a negotiator or anything like that. I just go to Orbitz and find what they have or
I
whatever.
usually go out to the runway and hitchhike.
Yeah.
It doesn't work very well. I haven't really had any planes stop for me, but
You gotta get really good with that lasso.
you do
And just,
exactly.
hold on tight.
I
Yeah.
mean, I use the standard stuff. I don't use like a Priceline or anything like that. I usually go to like Orbitz or Expedia.com.
Yeah, same here. I do like Expedia, Kayak, or something. I think I'm more picky about hotel pricing. For me
Yeah,
personally, I'm more picky about hotel pricing than airfare pricing.
yeah,
Like with a
agreed.
hotel, I look up that hotel on like 6 different sites, or even more. Whereas for some reason with airfare, I'm like, okay, this one seems cheaper than that one. Good to go. Book
Right.
it,
Like I'll do two or three, and then I'll just figure out the lowest one between those three, and then pick
Right.
that. But like you said, Lewis, I think with hotels that I spend way more. I probably spend double the time on hotels that I would on airfare.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I would
That's
too. I
interesting.
mean,
I hope they're not listening to this right now.
Oh, yeah. I take it all back.
no, I agree with both of you. We definitely spend more time looking at hotels. I think you feel like you're going to be spending more time there, and you want to make sure it's nice if you're going to actually be sleeping there. Whereas an airplane, you figure they're all pretty much the same. I mean, I've never gotten onto an airplane and been like, oh, yeah, I mean, outside of the normal feeling I get like that every time I get on an airplane. But yeah, I mean, an airplane's an airplane, right? They all have the no, I won't say. Don't need people thinking about crashing.
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Would you guys think about doing something like this, like having I don't know, something that ostensibly will be giving you a better price, but with the caveat that it could really be stabbing you in the back.
Right, and that's what you're
know.
never going to find. That's what that's like you said, Jeff. That's going to be like the little asterisk, the little footnote there that you won't be able to find out. And if you're like, you know what, screw this new pricing structure, I'm going to go like to my favorite website and find it there. You're probably going to end up paying more.
Right.
Because they're going to want you to move over to the new pricing structure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird new world for air flight.
This,
I'll tell you.
This really makes me a lot more leery now.
Yeah, more so than before.
Yeah, well, I mean, before you could go 2 or 3 different places and like compare prices, and at least I felt better about buying an airline ticket. But now it's like, oh, they could be jacking up the price by 15% just because I have a different zip code.
Right.
So I don't know.
The good news is that prices could be totally screwed up now for us, and we just don't know it.
Right, exactly.
It's just going to be screwed up in a slightly different way.
Right.
I mean, have you ever gone to like Orbitz or something, or even like the airline site and checked for prices to go somewhere, and you go back like later that day and prices have changed?
Changed, right.
Yeah.
But then you go onto a new computer and the prices are the prices you saw the first time, and you think, did they log my cookies and realize that I didn't buy it the first time, so now they're going to raise the price to make me feel like it's selling out?
Right.
Because that's happened to us once or twice, and I don't know if it was just something that like we perceived, but it definitely, like, the price definitely was going up really slightly over the course of a day on my wife's computer. Then when we checked on mine, it wasn't going up at the same rate that it was going up over there.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know what was happening there. It might have been a weird cookie thing, or I was looking for something different, but yeah. So, I mean, I always assume that I'm getting hamstrung on these prices for airfare, I don't know, but listen to us complaining about flying in an airplane, something that 100 years ago they just didn't even do, and now.
True.
Yeah, now it's just something we're so accustomed to. Well, as long as they still have free bulk rates to Vegas.
You couldn't even say free food or free pillows because some airlines charge for pillows now.
I think the only thing that's still free is the soft drink, right? Soft drinks are still free.
Yeah.
Certain, I think. Like a small water might be free, but I think certain sodas you might have to pay. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever paid for a soda. If I did, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, maybe on certain flights. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, I'm at the stage where I just assume the worst. So I'm always delighted when they hand me like a packet of peanuts. I'm like, really?
It's free?
I can't believe this.
Do you happen to have extras?
And then I start tweeting, best airline ever. I got peanuts. They know how to work me. I'm an easy sell.
Man,
See,
really.
That'll be your freebie, Jeff, when you log in.
That's right.
Jeff likes peanuts. He gets 2 bags now.
We've upgraded you to the platinum peanut package.
I remember when you used to get meals on airplanes as part of your ticket price.
Oh. Did you want them, though?
Well, no.
Were they ever edible? Were they
only in first class. Only in first class.
All right, let's see. Let's move on to another story here. Have you guys heard about the huge debacle over SimCity?
I heard something about it, but I don't know the details.
So EA released their new SimCity. It's supposed to be the greatest SimCity yet, since the one before it that was called the best SimCity yet. Unfortunately, it comes with something called always-on copyright protection, which means that you need to have access to the internet and to EA's servers every second that you're playing the game, essentially.
What?
Yes, so this new copyright protection is to ensure that you're not pirating the game. So it validates the copy when you log in, and then I believe over the course of playing, it also pings the server to make sure that nothing untoward is going on. The downside to this is that the company whose servers you are pinging better make sure that their servers work.
Right.
Because if they don't, no one gets to play the new game that they just bought, which
Oh,
was the case
man.
with SimCity.
Oh.
So
Wow.
everyone bought their fresh new copies, and barely anyone could play because within seconds the servers were taken down. It has led to a lot of complaints, essentially boiling down to people calling for an end to this type of copy protection. But EA has apologized. They said that they handled it pretty stupidly. In fact, I believe the word they used was dumb. And they said that they will offer people a free game if they were inconvenienced by this, but they will not be offering an offline mode. Since the game was released, the connectivity to the servers has become 92% better, not mentioning the 8% that are still
Right.
steaming over this. In fact, it got so bad that at one point Amazon said that they would no longer sell the game as digital copies, as digital downloads, because they didn't want people having a terrible experience and then coming back and leaving a negative review on their
Good
site.
for Amazon.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, they still sold. It was a little weird because they still sold the box version, which I guess is okay because even if you have Prime, it'll ship in 2 days, and I guess they figured EA will have sorted out the server stuff by
Right.
then. Ha ha! Jokes on them. It's still not 100% sorted, but yeah, definitely good for Amazon.
Now, do either of you guys play SimCity, or have you played? I've never played it.
I've actually never played it either.
No.
For a while, it was the game that I bought. It was the first game I bought whenever I got a new gaming platform or computer. Like my first computer game was SimCity. When I got my first Palm Pilot, I bought SimCity for that.
Really?
Yeah, I would always, and I don't know why. I never really liked it.
Right.
I mean, if you guys haven't played it, here's essentially what you do: is you drop blocks down that say "build houses here." You draw roads between it. You connect all that to a power source, and then all of your citizens hate you and don't give you taxes, and then everything burns down.
Wow.
So
I can barely do my checkbook, let alone run a city.
exactly. And the ones these days are so complicated with I think there's water grids and
Right.
as well as power grids and all sorts of other stuff. I can't. I don't have the time. I don't have the time for that. Like you said, I can barely manage my life. Why do I want to manage the life
Right, exactly. Good Lord.
thousands of sim citizens? So, what do you think? Is a free game enough to apologize for a little couple days of downtime for people?
No, they should just do an
No.
offline mode. So like by doing this, it's almost like they want to set some sort of standard for future games where they're like, from this point forward, all of our games, all of our downloaded games are going to have this copyright protection where, they have to ping back the server to validate that you're using an actual, you bought and you own your copy.
It does send a definite message saying that, no matter how bad this always-on copy protection is, we are not giving up on it.
Right. It's
So-
like they took their stance. It's like, you know what? Yeah, we were dumb. We screwed this one up, but no, we're keeping that copyright protection. And you know what? Here's a free game to just shut up and stop talking about it.
Right?
Yeah.
They
I don't
also
know.
have
It
said,
just seemed. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say they also have said that they are not reimbursing anybody.
Right.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
See, that just doesn't seem right to me. I mean, if you're unhappy with a product and you're not warned up front that you have to be, number one, you have to have online access and you have to be able to, validate your copy every 10 seconds. It just seems it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it would prevent people from buying it in the first place if they knew that it was already on copy protection. I mean, for something especially like SimCity that's so popular, people are going to be like, well, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to play it. How bad could it be? You're never realizing how bad how frustrating it could be. And I mean, yes, it's a frustration that will only last a couple days until they get their act together, or maybe a week or two. But it definitely is a frustration. I don't know. I don't think they're handling this especially well. I think starting from the fact that they put this kind of copy protection on there in the first place, I'm a huge proponent against this kind of copy protection and any
Right.
kind of copy protection because what's the old saying, if you outlaw guns, the only people who have guns are
Or
outlaws.
outlaws, right?
Well, if you outlaw this kind of piracy using this kind of protection, the only people who are going to be able to pirate it are people who can get around this stuff anyway. You know,
Right.
Right.
so it's
Do you guys know if any other companies besides EA are doing this kind of copyright protection?
yes.
I hadn't heard of any.
I don't remember the title, but there was another title. I want to say when Spore first came out, it had something akin to this,
Hmm.
which I believe is another Maxis EA game, right? Because that's from the maker of SimCity. It was.
So it's EA? Okay, so it's EA
Oh,
really pushing
alright.
it.
So I think this is something that EA does like to do. I can't think of any other titles, but I do know that there are more. This isn't the first one to have always on
Right.
protection, but it is the first one to make such a big splash in the news for taking servers down. You know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this doesn't make you guys want to run out there and buy SimCity?
No.
Definitely not.
No,
Or any
not so much.
EA game for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to boycott them.
Yeah.
Not that I ever bought them in the first place.
Let's see. That means that you would. Does EA still make sports games? I don't know. One of
Yeah,
them.
actually, I have a couple of their sports games on my iPhone. All of their FIFA soccer ones, pretty much.
Oh, and they do Madden, right?
Yeah, I
Do
believe so.
they do the Madden franchise?
I don't know. See, you guys are gonna have to start deleting a lot of games if you boycott them. You know.
Yeah, I'm looking at all my FIFA apps on my iPhone. They're all EA.
Delete
I got
2011,
nothing.
FIFA 2012.
Burn your
Delete,
phone
delete.
right now. And
I'll be in trouble if EA buys Plants vs Zombies. Then I'll be in trouble
it's the only game you play.
forever.
Let's see. Do we have time for one last story? Let's talk. I don't know. Do you guys want a Apple streaming service?
We always talk about
Is
Apple.
that boring? Well, I just want to mention this: that Apple, apparently they want to have a streaming service, but apparently it's being delayed because they want to pay they want to pay half as many royalties as Pandora does.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so Pandora pays like 12 cents per 100 plays to the recording artists and record labels, and Amazon and Apple wants to pay six cents. That is nothing. I don't think artists are going to be making any money off of streaming music.
Right. Have you heard that? A lot of them are complaining about streaming music now. I saw an article, I forgot where I read it, where it was, who was it? The guy from Radio, yeah, the guy from Radiohead, Tom York. Remember, I forgot the name of the album that they debuted online, which was like Pay What You Want for It.
Right.
You guys remember
Yeah.
what the name of the album was? But anyway, so he was basically complaining about it. He was like, you know what? That was one of the biggest mistakes we ever made because we lost on it. We lost on it. People were actually not willing to pay. You know,
Really?
we did it with good intentions, and yeah, he was basically saying like, you know, that model does not work, and we will never go toward that model again. But at the same time, he was also saying, you know what? The streaming thing doesn't work out either because, you know, let's say like something like RDO or Spotify, or whatever, you know, they could play a song a million times, they could stream a song a million times, and the amount of money that the artist or the record label gets back is just, it's nothing. It's
Yeah.
basically
Pennies.
nothing. So the fact that Apple is now saying they want to pay even less than that,
Mhm.
it's just like who's gonna sign up for Apple service if they're already paying half of what, let's say, like RDO or Spotify or whoever else is paying.
Yeah,
That's a good
and you
point.
have to. Oh, what's that?
That's a good point.
You also have to wonder, like, who's going to sign up? Well, some record labels might sign up because they still make more money than what they pass along to the recording artists anyway, and it's another revenue stream for them. You know,
Right.
I went to a talk that David Byrne gave. You know, from the Talking Heads, and David Byrne, from himself, he's an artist.
Right.
And he was talking about streaming and how artists make no money off it, and he like pulled up the numbers on a song that was like a huge hit in Europe for him, and he made like a couple bucks off of it from after all the millions of streaming. They
like
did
a
of that
couple
song.
of dollars.
Like a couple of dollars, yeah. I think it was. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was remarkably low, and it wasn't something that you could make a living being an artist, you know, living off the proceeds of streaming. So I don't know. Do you think Apple will wind up getting their way? Are they big enough to bully people into doing
So
this?
I found the article I was talking about. It was on The Verge, and so yeah, so he basically said, he feels that In Rainbows, which was the name of the album,
Right.
he said that the In Rainbows experiment may have actually helped technology companies such as Google and Apple strip the value out of our music and use it for their
Wow.
own benefit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's some
Well, that
pretty harsh words there.
that kind of
Yeah.
makes sense. You let people pay what they want, and the upside is that some people will value music a lot, but on the other side, a lot more people will hear that people are paying nothing for
Right.
an album and be like,
Right.
"Oh, well, there's no value to that." So I don't know. If you knew that if Apple does come out with a streaming service and you know that they're paying half as many royalties, what would you stay away from that kind of service, or if they pass the savings on to you, does it not matter?
That's a good question.
That's yeah.
You know, because I mean, how much is it for Spotify for a month?
What is it? $5, I think. I
$5.
could be wrong. $5 or $10.
Yeah,
I
and
thought it was
Spotify.
I thought it was $10 a month for.
$10
Yeah, you might be right. I think it's 10.
Yeah, I think it's $9.95. I
And
think.
Spotify pays the most. They pay like something like 35 cents per 100 plays, per 100 streams.
See,
So
I'm using this free version of Spotify. So
me
Yeah,
too.
same here.
yeah. So the ad revenue is what I'm giving to the
Right.
artist, but I'm
Yeah,
not
I
paying
don't know.
attention.
It's one of those things where it sucks and it's horrible, but I don't know if that would, if I was a hardcore, you know, iTunes user or whatever. I don't think that would. I just don't think that would change my mind.
Yeah. Is
so
it
you would
big
still
enough-
use the service.
Right. Is
Yeah,
it a big enough hurdle? Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's like you're living in a mansion. I'm not.
Yeah.
I
that's
need the
very true.
savings.
Right.
Yeah, but see, if so many people start doing this, then artists won't be able to live.
They
in a
won't be living in
mansion,
mansions
and they
anymore.
won't be able to make the music for us to listen
Right.
to either.
It's
you
a
know?
tricky
Yeah.
predicament.
Yeah, I know it's a very easy position to fall into and be like, well, look, you sell albums, you still make lots of money, you go on tour, you have tons of groupies and fans. Oh, boo-hoo, you're only making 6 cents per 100 streaming. But the thing is that if the scales tip in that way too much, then the boo-hoo becomes, well, my bands can't afford to stay together anymore. They have to go
Right.
work at McDonald's.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm kind of behind this totally falling apart for Apple because I know that if they wind up bullying their way through to this, that it will be a very popular streaming service and it will mean less revenue for artists. I don't care about the record companies. They've been stealing for years.
Right.
I'll go on record with that. And just by being who they are, Apple will be a very popular service, and it may be another. It won't be the death knell, but it'll be a step towards, and it'll be another inch towards musicians not being able to make money for it, because if they can get away with it, then Pandora might renegotiate their contract, and
Right.
Spotify will be like, well, why are we paying 35 cents when we can be paying 6? And then
Good
it'll
point.
all just crumble down, and then we'll have to log into a main server so that they know how much we can afford to pay.
That's right.
Oh, Jeff lives in an affluent neighborhood. Charge him more for Green Day.
Right.
And that's the way it is now. I don't know. I'm working on a new closing.
You're doing the Walter Cronkite thing? Is
Yeah, I didn't really like it. I knew coming out of my mouth that it was like a rip-off of something.
That's all the news that's fit to talk about.
That's the pod news for today. All right, I want to thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks, Jeff.
Listeners, for links to today's stories, Twitter feeds, blog links, or more, head to our show notes page. Also, feel free to send us feedback to podcast@dealnews.com. I'm Jeff Somogyi. Goodbye.